Program Director, President of the Republic of South Africa, the Mandela and Madikizela family, all protocol observed. I stand here to give tribute to my very best friend, Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Our friendship spans 60 years. I first met Winnie in 1957 at Baragwanath Hospital, where she was the medical social worker. I was still studying for my honors and had been placed at Baragwanath to do my medical social work practicals. This meeting was not only the beginning of a long friendship between our two families, but also of our work as social workers. A couple of years later, whilst working as a medical social worker myself at the Johannesburg Municipality Health Department, and Winnie working as a social worker at the Johannesburg Child Welfare Society, Winnie hatched a plan. There she was handling the whole of Soweto caseload alone and was very snowed down. Bold as she was even at that young age, she approached her employers at the Child Welfare Society and recommended that they recruit me. They complied. There was no advertisement of the post, nor an interview. I just walked in. Together we shared the caseload of Soweto. Winnie loved her work and children came first, so she was at the right place. She was fearless when putting things right for children. For instance, making sure that errant fathers are forced by the courts to pay maintenance. Those men had no escape when she took on such cases. She was such a good friend and colleague, and as I was living in Benoni and couldn't do after hours work as required, she would cover for me by doing all my emergency night calls. In all this, we were also young mothers. We would collect Zeni and Zinzi together from creche and share babysitting whilst we attend to our work. Winnie's banning orders eventually resulted in her being unable to continue at child welfare. But we continued to discuss our cases over the phone. We lost contact for a couple of years when my family left for Swaziland, only to reconnect through the children who attended the same high school in Swaziland. Our daughters in particular became close friends. I remember in 1976 when Winnie was in detention, Zinzi came to stay at my home over the Christmas holidays. By then we were in Lesotho. Zinzi simply informed me, no asking, because she knew she was my child and had a place in my home. Not long in 1977, Winnie was banished to Brantford. We set up an arrangement with her, the two of us, whereby we chatted over the phone. She would phone reverse charges from one and only public box in that township. I would also let her know when I would call. She would wait by the call box for my calls. Those early days in Brantford, she was lonely, and these phone conversations were important. Being the person who would not let negative circumstances put her down, it was not long before she did what she loved, social work, starting projects in Brantford, the first being a creche. Her love of children emerging as always. I once drove from Maseru to Brantford to visit her. Alas, the magistrate refused me permission to see her. On my return to South Africa, our family's friendship grew in and to include our grandchildren. Our grandchildren also went to the same schools, and they were great friends. Our work together with Winnie continued. When she left her job as head of social welfare for the ANC, she recommended my name to the ANC for the post. That is the post of the social welfare worker. I was interviewed by the ANC. The panel chaired the current president of South Africa. In 2011, when she was appointed chairperson of the Ministerial Sanitation Team, in short MSTT, we set up by the Minister of Housing, Tokyo Sekgwale, to investigate the state of sanitation across the country. She called me and invited me to accompany her to Pretoria without telling me the reason. To my surprise, when we arrived, it was the launch of the MSTT, that's the Ministerial Sanitation Task Team. And she had nominated me to be a member of the team. That was Winnie. She had the ability to recognize the value of people. Actually, a few times she requested me to represent her and address forums which she was supposed to have addressed if she didn't have the time. I once found myself at the border of Swaziland having forgotten my passport. I was going to bury an old friend. On hearing of my predicament in the middle of the night from Zinzi through my daughter, she galvanized the assistance of the then Minister of Home Affairs, the Minister's DG, Swaziland officials. I crossed into Swaziland early hours of that Saturday morning while the border was still closed, but I was let through. That was Winnie, a true friend, ready to do all in her power at crucial times. This was in the middle of the night. She hardly slept that night. Now, Winnie loved her family immensely, as we know. The children, the grandchildren, and extended family. Her family was most important above all else. She always had them in the forefront when she celebrated her triumphs, like when she graduated at Wits and when she was conferred with an honorary doctorate in a university in Nigeria. I was with her there, where she took along an entourage of several members of her family. Also birthdays and other events, I had the honor of being part of this, and we will always cherish the invitation. Now to Zeni, Zinzi, the grandchildren and great-grandchildren, I want to convey my deepest condolences to you. You are going into a difficult phase of your lives without your mom and grandmother. You are the progeny of a woman who persevered and always triumphed, even in the most difficult of moments in her life. This is one of the best lessons she has gifted you. Draw on this gift in the time ahead. Use this gift to be the best you can be in your lives ahead. Know that I am here for you and always ready to support and comfort you. Now, finally, as a social worker, Winnie applied the core principle that social work is apolitical or apolitical. It is to serve all people regardless of political affiliation, class or race. Indeed, today, as we mourn her passing, the results of her service is evident as the entire nation, and indeed another nations across political affiliation, race, and class pay tribute to her. Till we meet again, my friend. Robala ka kgotso. At this point, thank you, I have been tasked by the social fraternity to read out the following tributes. This tribute is from social work veterans and the National Association of Social Workers and the Council of Social Workers. Tribute to Nomzamo Winnie Mandela. We owe you a great debt of gratitude as a country and as the social work fraternity for the immense sacrifices you have made throughout your life in pursuit of the ideals of freedom, justice, equality, and the attainment of human rights, which ideals are the cornerstones of your profession. Your deep understanding of the need to revolutionize social work and contextualize professional practice in the socio-political and economic milieu remains an imperative. You taught us to take responsibility to free ourselves from psychological bondage and the slave mentality engendered by colonialism and apartheid education and training. You demonstrated that social workers should be in trenches where the people are. You relentlessly led the charge with commitment, selflessness, passion, courage, and focus, which made your detractors not succeed in destroying what you stood for. To this end, you powerful opposition from some within the profession and from the architects of apartheid, without regard for the brutality you had endured. Despite all this, your dream and vision of justice never eluded you. You were a true change agent. So you were a visionary and trailblazer who was ahead of your time. You remain an inspiration and an example to many social service professionals today in their quest to facilitate a world that is fair, just, and safe, especially for the vulnerable. While we mourn your passing, we celebrate the universal acknowledgement of your contribution, which cuts across race, age, gender, and political affiliation. You served humanity as a social worker with distinction from the cradle to the grave. Rest in peace, social worker, par excellence, freedom fighter, and liberator from the social work fraternity.